She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
I can only make grilled cheese.
You're kidding, right?
I'm the hottest person in the world.
I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
Perhaps the best team play.
So I've got my Baymax blanket, which I use when I have anxiety.
Snow White is running for president.
Nobody wants
a movie about true love?
Just let the bloat be bloat. Let her bloat. I am not asking. I am demanding.
After already getting roasted into meme history by South Park, and then clowned on national television by The Simpsons, you'd think the worst was over for Rachel Zegler.
I'm like so ready to just throw my phone away. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I know it's gonna happen.
Yes, please. Do go right now.
But according to new insider chatter from deep inside the animation world, the humiliation might just be getting started. Word is, writers for The Simpsons are allegedly planning to bring Rachel back for even more brutal jokes in future episodes. Not just a one-off roast, but possibly an ongoing punchline. And not just tied to the Snow White mess either.
You know what I can't wait to quit? Social media.
Sources close to the situation say the first Snow Woke parody wasn't just a lucky swing. It did numbers. Online views spiked, TikToks blew up, and memes flooded social media. It hit so well, producers are now allegedly thinking about making her cartoon version a recurring part of Springfield.
It was a magical time, and I'm a Disney princess, and it was just very magical.
If that's true, Rachel's not just in one embarrassing moment. She's being slowly turned into a joke that never ends, a punchline that keeps circling back again and again. And the timing couldn't be worse. Her career is already on thin ice after that Snow White remake flopped so hard, it's now being used in case studies as the gold standard of how to torch a reputation.
People have real problems and no one gives a shit if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary.
Those cringy interviews didn't help. Her social media turned into a highlight reel of everything not to say in a press tour. And now, behind the scenes, Hollywood insiders are reportedly getting cold feet about casting her in anything high profile. Meanwhile, The Simpsons writers are allegedly sharpening their pencils for round 2, maybe even 3 or 4. Rachel's shot at quietly moving on from this disaster? It's slipping away. Fast.
Maybe Disney has learned their lesson, maybe not.
No official word from the Simpsons team or Disney execs yet. They've stayed quiet. But in Hollywood, rumors spread faster than press releases. And right now, insiders say the buzz is loud.
Lots of people to thank for this video.
If these jokes keep coming, Rachel might get locked into the exact cultural nightmare she's been trying to escape. Because let's be honest, in this town, there's bad press. And then there's being the joke that cartoons won't stop dragging. Once you land in that zone, it's no longer just about reputation. It's about legacy.
This clip is already 9 minutes long on my phone, and I bet she learned nothing.
Rachel Zegler didn't fall overnight, but when the crash happened, it was like a freight train, and animation studios were sitting front row, taking notes. What started as just a few awkward interviews morphed into a full-blown internet movement, a meme wave, a cautionary tale of Hollywood arrogance and disconnect.
The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms.
And for South Park and The Simpsons, Rachel wasn't just a convenient punchline, she was the bullseye. This whole mess really took off when clips from Rachel's Snow White press tour started going viral. She was making jabs at the 1937 classic, calling the prince a stalker, and preaching about rewriting fairy tales for the modern age.
What can be said about this level of narcissism? Here, please, enjoy.
At first, fans were just annoyed, but soon the memes rolled in, fast. And just like that, Rachel went from fresh-faced breakout star to a symbol of everything fans were fed up with: tone-deaf lectures, corporate reboots, and forced empowerment speeches.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it. All right.
She wasn't just acting in a movie people already doubted, she was speaking in the exact way that frustrated them the most. Preachy. Disconnected. Like anyone who still loved the original Snow White was just stuck in the past. That's when South Park lit the fuse. Their Panda Virus special went straight for the throat, roasting Rachel's Snow White, the message behind it, and the entire Disney culture that backed it. It went viral instantly. Then came The Simpsons. Their Snow Woke parody didn't just roast the film, it torched Rachel's whole public image. From the lectures to the tone to the attitude, everything got shredded. And now, with insiders saying writers may bring her back for even more episodes, this might not be a one-time jab, this could be permanent.
I don't know if that mirror was broken, but that has to be one hell of an acting job by Gal Gadot. She looks into the mirror and she says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And then they show her a picture of Rachel Zegler, and somehow she has to not burst out laughing.
And let's be real, this is the kind of branding no PR team can fix. In Hollywood, everyone wants to become iconic, but being turned into a running cartoon joke? That sticks even harder. And unless something drastic changes soon, Rachel Zegler might have just joined that rare club, celebrities who got memified so badly, even the cartoons can't stop laughing at them.
Have you ever considered that your fairy tales have actually stood the test of time because they are always relevant, because that is what a fairy tale is, because they have timeless, universal values and lessons that any person, regardless of their age, regardless of their generation, could connect to? That is why they are so important. That is why they have been around for hundreds of years. You didn't start these fairy tales. Grimm's fairy tales, that's where they came from. People love these for a reason because of the values.
Thing is, this downfall didn't start with The Simpsons. That was just the cherry on top. The panic at Disney reportedly started months earlier, when early leaks and audience test reactions painted a grim picture. What was supposed to be a nostalgic reboot turned into a full-blown marketing nightmare.
We're not all blind, we can still see. Gal Gadot is a beautiful person. And Rachel Zegler is a fairly good-looking person.
Rumors swirled. The dwarves were gone, replaced by magical creatures. The plot leaned more on empowerment speeches than actual fairy tale magic. And Rachel's now infamous comments about the 1937 original being outdated only made things worse, fast.
Because a woman shouldn't have to depend on a man. Snow White was brought back to life by a lady doctor.
And she lived happily ever after?
Well, she couldn't indulge in strenuous activities like handball, but otherwise, she was fine.
The same audience that had once lined up for Beauty and the Beast or the Lion King remakes openly rejected this one. Early box office projections tanked. Merch like dolls and posters collected dust on store shelves. Retailers even started slashing prices before the movie hit theaters, basically admitting they weren't expecting anyone to show up. Leaked numbers allegedly showed Snow White was on track to become one of Disney's worst live-action remakes ever. And by the time it dropped, the nightmare had become real. Theaters were empty. TikToks showing deserted screenings started trending. And YouTubers across the board tore into it, calling it everything from preachy to lifeless to an insult to the original. Even loyal Disney fans had to admit something had gone horribly wrong. Rachel's off-putting interviews didn't help either. So when The Simpsons fired their shot, it wasn't just mean. It felt like justice to a huge part of the audience. Because Snow Woke wasn't just making fun of the movie. It was stomping on the wreckage with a neon sign that screamed, "This is what happens when you forget why people loved the original." And now, with rumors that Rachel's animated parody might become a recurring character, it's clear The Simpsons didn't start this mess. They just memorialized it, one savage joke at a time. The parody inside The Simpsons wasn't subtle. It was a full-on takedown. In their version, Snow White wasn't a dreamy princess waiting for love. She was a corporate checklist with a mission to lecture every woodland creature she came across. Romance? Cancelled. Magic? Replaced with buzzwords. The prince? Nothing but background noise. And the dwarves? Swapped out for magical creatures holding emotional support meetings in the forest. The whole thing played like a script built from Rachel's worst interview quotes. The ones where she trashed the original story, rolled her eyes at the prince, and said Snow White needed to be rewritten for a modern audience. Fans didn't need a decoder ring. They knew who this was aimed at. And the worst part? It hit because it was true. Even the Simpsons version of Disney execs got roasted. In the episode, they're portrayed stumbling over each other, tossing in as many diversity slogans as possible while the reboot burns to the ground behind them. It didn't just mock Rachel, it mocked the whole machine. And insiders say the reason it landed so hard is because it wasn't much of a stretch. Fans had already been saying the same thing for months. that Disney had sucked the magic out of the story and replaced it with a lifeless product no one wanted. Now, with rumors that more Rachel jokes could pop up in future episodes, this feels less like a one-time gag, and more like an ongoing autopsy. Because once The Simpsons makes you a running joke, they don't just move on, they double down. Publicly, Rachel stayed silent after the episode aired, but insiders say behind closed doors, she was livid. Not just embarrassed, but betrayed, especially since The Simpsons is technically a Disney property. And watching the same company that once handed her the crown now stand by as their own cartoon ripped her to pieces, that, insiders say, hit her harder than anything South Park ever did. Some even claim she reached out to her team immediately after the episode aired, demanding answers, asking why no one warned her or what could be done to stop it. But legally, there wasn't much. Satire is protected, and trying to pull the episode would have only made things worse. Privately, she allegedly vented that the parody felt vicious, like the industry had made her the face of Disney's failures. But sympathy was scarce. The internet had already moved on from outrage. Now it was entertained. Memes exploded. Fans stitched clips of her interviews next to cartoon scenes, showing just how eerily spot on the jokes were. And Disney? Dead silent. No public defense, no corporate support, just the sound of distance. And maybe, insiders say, some internal damage control as they tried to figure out how to cut losses. For Rachel, it was clear. She was now trapped. Every time she tried to move on, the culture yanked her right back into the fire. And the fire wasn't done spreading, because now, Family Guy is allegedly circling. Sources say Seth MacFarlane's team is watching the situation closely, seeing it as prime material for future gags. If Family Guy joins in, this won't just be a temporary meme storm, it'll become permanent. The kind of cultural tattoo that doesn't fade. TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, they've all joined the feeding frenzy. New meme edits of Rachel's interviews pop up daily. Fan animations, deepfakes, viral jokes with millions of views. It's not slowing down. And the danger now? This isn't just about 2024, it's about legacy. Rachel Zegler's name is starting to become shorthand for a Hollywood collapse, a cautionary tale about what happens when the message becomes more important than the magic. Sure, comebacks happen, Hollywood loves a redemption arc, but this is different. This is deeper. This is what happens when your face becomes a punchline, and your PR crisis becomes animated. Insiders say there's still a tiny path forward, maybe a gritty indie film that rebuilds her image, maybe a long break until the internet moves on, but nothing's guaranteed. Because the memes, the jokes, the animated parodies, they're not going anywhere. Rachel Zegler's fall didn't just play out in the press, it played out in real time, on screens everywhere. And now, fair or not, she's stuck in a pop culture loop, and no one knows if she'll ever get out.